Hello, everyone. I am very excited to finally post session 6. It took me a really long time to edit the audio, and I lost the project several times, as well as I felt really under the weather for weeks now. I have been feeling very strongly the energetic upgrades, and it's been really quite a lot. So, this session didn't really quite flow as easily as it usually does. But here it is, finally, part 6. If you are new to the channel, I invite you to notice that this is session 6 and it's part of a series of a few sessions. There is a playlist on my channel entitled From the Orion Wars to the New Earth, and I really recommend you start at part 1 so that you can see what you feel about the whole story and you can understand the whole story. And also, just a reminder that these audios were never meant to be recorded for YouTube. It was research that I did for a book that I am writing based on in person quantum healing hypnosis sessions. But I decided that the audios were very, very powerful, and I wanted to make them available for those who perhaps won't even have access to the books, because I really wanted to make more of this information available. So I'm making an effort to post the sessions, and just remember these were never meant to be for YouTube. They are recorded in Manhattan on the street side, and you will hear every noise possible. And this really is just to show that one can be in hypnosis even though there are a lot of background noises. So, in the first part of the session, there's a beautiful story, and then in the second part, it goes a little bit in different places. And those are pieces that I was looking to clarify on for the book. This session happened about 1 year ago, I think April or May 2024. So there's been a lot more happening since, and stay tuned for the next episodes. Everything is looking really, really bright right now, 1 year later. 1 year ago, things did not look so great, but it still looked very, very positive. So, this is everything. As always, your support matters a lot to me. Please subscribe, like the episode, post any comments, and thank you so much for your support. If you have been here for a while, it really means a lot and it helps, especially in these times when I'm trying so hard to make something available and it takes so many iterations. And like never before, I've lost the project and the audio so many times working on this. So I really hope you enjoy it. Here it is, part 6.
Glowing there with the pyramid.
Okay, tell me
And
more.
the big sculpture of the Sphinx with an animal head on it.
Can you say all that again?
I'm in Giza, in Egypt, with the Great Pyramid shining at the top. And the Sphinx with an animal head, a cat head or a lion head. It's a very busy place, but it's also a very sacred place. It's very peaceful. There's lots of water.
Beautiful and
Trees. And it's very powerful. It generates its own power. It's a place of great learning, communication. I'm looking at it from the outside. from hovering around it, looking down on it, and seeing the scene. It's a very long time ago in Earth history. It's all brand new. It's all just been built. We're all involved in building it, in carving it, and creating it as a fixed point, one of many fixed points on Earth that use the grid lines where this energy coalesces in the grid lines. And so we connect through from here into higher vibrations and down into this third dimensional vibration. And there's many of us. There's multi-dimensional beings. There's beings are deciding to come down and be here as guides, taking on temporary humanoid bodies, wearing long white robes. We're creating a place of learning, a place where the local populations can come. We store universal histories here. It's a great educational center. Anybody can come from anywhere in the galaxy, but also it's available for people on the planet. The different species on the planet to come. We've created this because the other libraries are going to go under. So we're creating a new library beneath these structures. A library where energetic ideas are stored in crystals. Each plaque in a crystal, each facet in a crystal, like facets in a diamond, is like pages in books. And the vibrations are there, sketched out in all these different patterns. And you can access these different patterns with your mind, with your third eye. You go into these crystals. You can dive across universal histories. It's an amazing place.
Can you tell me where exactly is the library with respect to what you're seeing, the pyramid, the Sphinx? Where's the library located?
Below it.
Below what?
Below the pyramid. And below the Sphinx, it goes into the underworld there. There's a vast area. And all this information is stored in vibrational form. And so to access it, you go in and you go to specific vibrations. It's these huge crystals. And the crystals are imprinted with these ideas. They're imprinted vibrationally. You read them with your third eye, but you connect your third eye to your heart, so that as you're reading them, you feel them, you experience them. So it's not simply reading of the mind, it's a reading of the body. You take your body into those different histories, and all these histories are stored there.
Histories of what?
Of what?
Yes, what kind of histories?
Universal histories. Histories from all the planets. Nearby planets, nearby galaxies. It's a great body of experience. It's different layers of teachings, all these different layers of knowledge set across different vibrations. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful, and we're making it available to anyone who comes. I work as a librarian. The librarian shows people who arrive how to access these histories. You can access by connecting your body, by connecting your hands and your heart, and then your mind. So you can visualize and experience all manner of these histories. It's immense. It's more knowledge than any one individual could ever possibly even come close to comprehending. These histories are multidimensional, so that if someone is coming in from the forest, from this area of the earth that becomes Africa, the wise people coming in have to be shown that they have to be careful. They can only access very, very narrow bands of history, very narrow bands of vibrational history. They're interested in their own planet's history and in their own species' history, and so that they can access by staying within their own vibrational experience. If they go beyond that, they're liable to get overwhelmed, not really understand what they're feeling or seeing.
These people from the forest, are these the ones that you refer to as the locals?
Are they the ones that what?
That you refer to as locals?
They're local earth species.
Okay.
They're dressed, some of them are dressed in animal furs. They're dressed in garments. They hold staffs. They're amazed. They're absolutely amazed by what they see as they come to us. They're in awe of this bright, shining area in their world. These are the shamans who are coming to us, the people who access animal energies, human and animal energies. And we're training them because we know that the civilization out in Atlantis is coming to an end, and these are the ones that have to take over.
Can you tell me more about that? About the civilization in Atlantis?
This is where we're coming from. We're coming as keepers of knowledge, what you would know as a priesthood, the keepers of universal wisdom and knowledge. We can see the way things are going in Atlantis because we can get into the vibrational histories. We see the major trends, and we see how the journey into materialism has created great problems in Atlantis, and that's coming to an end. We can see a major shift coming. That shift coincides with lots of issues, one of which is a pole shift. It's a magnetic shift of the Earth that coincides with increased solar activity, but there's also elements coming in from space that we've tracked the trajectories of. It's a whole lot of things are coming together at once. And that civilization, in a sense, got too far into the materialism. People forgot who they really were. And so we can see that that is going to be wiped out by great waves. So we're going to other parts of the earth. My group comes here to Giza. And so we create this learning center so that this history can carry on. This learning can carry on and be available to those who wish to come with us over here, and there are many. And to those who come to us from the part of this continent, they follow the rivers to us. This has always been a sacred place for them. And now we've come and we've built on this sacred space. And they're delighted because they always knew that this was a space where they could come and access otherworldly powers. And now they see exactly why. And we're training them. Because if you train someone too quickly, then they burn out. They can actually physically expire. They suffer nervous breakdowns, an overload of information. And so we're having to train generation after generation, very, very slowly, a new priesthood based on the Atlantean principles.
Could you tell me, when your group came here to this place, where did the other groups go before Atlantis fell?
Other groups go up into what become the British Isles. Other groups go into the Americas. We disperse into these parts of the world, Northern Europe, British Isles.
And you end up here in this
Different
beautiful
parts
place.
of North America, different parts of Asia. What is now Turkey. There are many areas that we disperse to. My group chooses Giza. We feel that there's a very strong, powerful magnetic force in Giza, and so we use that because it has a natural connection through to the galaxy. And so it's very simple for us to create this massive pyramid-shaped generator.
It's very simple for you.
It's very simple to create these huge structures because we're using energy, we're using vibrations to move the rocks. The locals are amazed. To please the locals, we put up a great lion, a great huge lion. This is one of the great symbols of their shamans. This is their most powerful animal. They love this symbol.
Was there anything there before you moved to this place?
There was a river coming in from the west, great river. And we came along that river, we followed that river to come to this place. And we met many communities along that river. And when we arrived at this place, we knew it was the ideal place.
And there was nothing there. You had to build everything from scratch.
They had small wooden monuments. There was a small center there. It was a spiritual center for a local group of shamans. Some of them led us there. And we felt the energy, and then we showed them by touching them, and by touching their third eye, we showed them the plans for what we were doing, what we intended to do, and they approved. They were excited.
So tell me about how many pyramids you built and how many of those monuments, the lion
We
looking
built
like.
this one huge, beautiful pyramid of the Great Lion Monument.
One of each.
Yes. And they were shiny new. We put a conductive gold on the top of the pyramid. And that pyramid then conducts electricity, electromagnetism from the heart of the earth on these lines that pass underneath it. And that allows it to generate power and to work as a beacon. So this became a great spiritual center. And we worked there for a generation or two. It wasn't long. The building was still brand new when the cataclysm comes to Atlantis. When the pole shift happens, we've created this monument. We've established the library. And we've begun the training for a whole new generation who then go into the library. And then there's a great deluge. The earth suffers a massive, massive jolt. There's huge earthquakes. The continents shift. A new river begins coming from the south. The river that's there now, the river valley that's there now, comes from the south. As a great lake spills open and creates that river. The previous river was from the west. The continents all move around. The magnetic pole on the planet shifts. But we've preserved this universal history there. And it's there for whoever wishes to go and consult it. It's a great, vast underground library. This is why in later years the Egyptians established a great library in Alexandria, what becomes Alexandria.
Why is that?
Because there is this remembrance among their priesthood of the place of knowledge. Their priests remember all the way back to the cataclysm, and they remember before that cataclysm because we've taught them that. They have an oral history, but they also have the energetic history that we've given them. And each new generation of shamans trains the next generation of shamans, and they carry on these stories, they carry on this knowledge, they carry on this vast universal knowledge for anyone who wishes to come and consult.
So your priests then survived the cataclysm in Atlantis?
Yes.
And the pole shift, they survived it? How did they survive it?
They survive it by being underground, the human ones. We survive because we're in light bodies as we're doing this. And we pass on our role to these humans.
Did you come with a light body from Atlantis?
We do. We have light bodies, but we step down into illuminated human bodies as we travel. This way we intermingle with the populations. They see us as great prophets, great sages, with our light garments, our staffs. And they begin to imitate us.
Do you have a name? Your group, does it have a name?
Who are we? Arca.
What do they call you in
Arca.
those? In
Arca.
Atlantis, do you remember what they call you in Atlantis?
Arcarians, something like that,
Okay.
Arcaria.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that, Arcarians.
Okay, good.
ARK.
And how do you look when you're in a light body? Does it have any specific shape or form? Do you have some sort of
When we're in the light
humanoid?
body, we're spherical.
Okay.
But when we step down and express human bodies, humanoid bodies, we're very tall, elegant, humanoid characters, very impressive.
Do you change the shape of the body as you step into it?
We express these bodies.
You create them?
Yes, we create them around us. We create them around the sphere. And that way these bodies are then visible to the locals in their vibration.
Can you describe those bodies for me? How do they look like? What color, shape, size? How do you look like?
Which bodies? Our bodies.
The ones that you manifest, that you create around the sphere.
They're great, tall, slender human bodies with long flowing robes, very bright, white, looking white, golden white hair. We have great staffs. We're taller than the population. And we're impressive. We create these impressive bodies, impressive light bodies. And as we walk among them, we manifest such a beautiful image to them that they come to us seeking knowledge. We tell them that we're not gods, but they have different rituals that they would like to see us as gods, because they realize that we've come from a higher dimension, and they would like to create a religion around us. And we try to resist this. We want them to know that we're simply from a higher vibration, and that they have access to the same higher vibration, but they've forgotten it. But they still create a religion around us.
Is everyone in the priesthood a librarian? Or is that just a role you played in a life? What is the connection?
That's the role that I'm playing, because I'm a guide into the archives. Librarian is a modern term. It's like an archivist. It's a teacher who shows how to access universal wisdom. Teacher might be a better word, but the teacher has access to the library, knows where everything is in the library. And we show them that they're creating their own aspect of the library. Each time they interact with it, they change the library. It's not static.
Tell me about that.
It's a really beautiful experience, because they can see their own histories then. They see that their own events in their own lifetimes, their own stories that they tell us, are part of this library. They become part of this library. So the library is completely interactive. It's not like reading a printed page. It's reading an active, energetic page that you interact with. So the histories are fluid. And that makes them much more exciting.
So you said they can change it, the library?
They're changing, yeah. The library changes as people add their own histories to it and add their own experiences to it as they read things. Reading means putting your hands on the crystal, going into a certain area that you wish to access, visualizing it in your third eye and feeling it in your heart. And all these areas within your body are interconnected. So we teach the humans how to do this. And they're amazed. They're amazed at what they can do, at what they see, at what they can feel. And for some of them, it's too much. They're bewildered and they can't handle it. So they go back to their vibrations. But some are really enthralled and they take the training very seriously. And they're the ones that we want to be teachers. And these teachers become very adept, so that when they go underground during the cataclysm, they can come out and then teach new generations of teachers.
Why is it important to pass this information on? Is it important to be able to access this library?
It's knowledge. We love the pursuit of knowledge, the pursuit of learning. It's also a way to accelerate, if they choose, the human experiment. Those humans who choose to train with us can then help within their own population.
How can they help?
They help people by showing them that they have their own powers within them and that they can change their lives, they can change their histories. We show them how the way they think as a collective can even change the weather. When they come together as a collective, they can change many, many things within their vibration. They can help with growing, just simply by the way they feel as they come together as a group. Unfortunately, this can be used to bring groups together who can then change things in a painful manner. But this is part of the journey. This is part of the history. So this is the sort of corruption that got into Atlantis and allowed people to become very, very caught up in the lower dimensional vibration and being caught up in that world of making misfits, we called them, making creations that were miserable. They were enslaving other races. It was a misuse of energy in Atlantis.
Tell me more about that. How did they misuse the energy?
By controlling others, by taking away the free will of others.
And how did they do that?
By locking them into fearful situations. By taking away their access to source, to light. By making them believe that they were only in those lives, so that they would serve their lords and not question their own existence. They would become slaves. They would become servants to their lords. It was an experiment. They experimented with all kinds of different genetic manipulations, abominations of the natural world.
And what is the problem with that?
It had to be wiped out. It was creating so much sadness,
Okay.
so much unhappiness, and so much misery, and it was weighing very, very hard on the overall, heart of the planet.
How so?
It was like creating dark pockets on the planet, pockets of very heavy vibration, like an energetic pollution on the planet. And so it had to be wiped out.
Is that energetic pollution a problem?
It becomes, yes, it's like a cancer. It becomes a focus of very, very dense energy, which becomes very uncomfortable, and it's not healthy. It creates very, very ugly, unwanted, painful areas. And like any cancer, it has to be healed. And it wasn't going to be healed by the way these people were thinking. The best healing process was to use the cycle that was coming with the sun and with the lowering magnetic sphere. But this was also combined with material coming in from space on a trajectory that was then brought in and used to wipe out this civilization.
And who did this? Who brought in certain things from space and made sure all this worked out in this way? Who did this?
We invited it, and it was heard. Those of us who were working with the Enlightenment, who were gathering together the information, who were trying to keep the powerful information secret, but we couldn't. We were a brotherhood of light, the priesthood. And it was very masculine energy, very forceful energy, a brotherhood of light. Children of the light. And we invited this energy to come. Because the Earth experiment had gone very, very dark.
Can you tell me more about that energy that you invited?
We went into a very high vibration, into different realms, into different domains, and communicated with councils, higher councils. Made a case. We're before a council when we make a case for the Earth species and the Earth experiment to be allowed to continue, so that we can set up these energetic centers away from where the pollution is, so that the experiment can continue. And so we have an agreement. There's going to be a flooding in any case. But with it comes something much more severe, and that is this comet coming through from the north to the south and exploding over the Earth. And crashing into Atlantis, to make sure that nothing survives. And with the shifting of the Earth, the magnetosphere, the continents shift, pull apart, crash. There's lots of earthquakes, volcanoes, and massive tidal waves. The Giza Plateau is flooded. But the energy and the new priesthood are secure underground.
If the cataclysm was caused by a meteorite, why did you have to talk with the higher councils?
We redirected the meteorite.
Who is we?
We with the higher council. We also get together and we find an old world. We go very, very deep into space, and we find an old world that's going to be used to help the Earth survive. And we bring that world. It's a small world, an extinct world that we hollow out and convert into a ship. And that world creates a new magnetic pull around the Earth in order to get the Earth spinning in a new direction. And that Earth, that little world, is what's perceived of now around your planet as the moon. and it pulls the tides, and it allows for a very quiet observation of the planet. And it's brought in at that time. And one side must remain invisible. There are bases on that side. And then the visible side acts as a reflection of light, so that even at night, parts of the earth can have a reflection of light, and it's not total darkness. There was a sense that there was too much darkness in the earth. And so we connect as spherical bodies, we connect as consciousness in these great councils, and we make these arrangements, and we get these overall agreements. There's a council in Saturn that we go to, and in the council in Saturn, there is an overall agreement to allow this experiment to continue. And then we return to the earth because we know what's going to happen. And we train these new priests, these new shamans, teachers. And these are the teachers then who re-emerge after the cataclysms. And these are the teachers, the keepers of ancient wisdom in different parts of the earth, who then tell the stories, preserve these old stories that have been handed down in what is called mythology in the world. But this is really ancient wisdom, very, very ancient wisdom.
What happened to everyone else on Earth other than the keepers that survived? Did anyone else survive?
Well, they take many of the humans with them, the shaman class. They take the people who they've been able to train, and the communities that are living very, very close to nature, the communities that communicate with the natural world, who are fearless in different parts of the world, and these communities then enter the underworld with them, the under-earth, the inner earth with them, and they form new communities with the existing inner earth communities in some cases, so that when the earth is then reset, it's reset on a new spin, the moon is put in place, the waters recede, and the new plant forms begin to grow. There's reseeding, and the human populations then re-emerge, and they resettle the earth in different areas, different parts of the earth.
How long do you think this takes in human years, more or less, from the moment they went under to the moment they went back out?
It takes a few thousand years.
Okay.
They come back out. They come back out within hundreds of years, but to recreate the civilizations takes a few thousand years. And it's different in different parts of the earth.
Okay, and
some civilizations remain in touch with nature. Some civilizations are then taken over.
can you tell me a little bit more about the moon and why is it important?
The moon was important to help restore a balance of dark and night, night and day, dark and light, and also very, very strong magnetic pull to get the planet spinning in the direction that was most beneficial again. The planet has been battered many times this way. And this time it was very close to an extinction. But with this hidden intervention, we were able to restore a balance, get the Earth spinning again properly. And it's the moon's pull that keeps the Earth spinning the way it does. It's slightly off, but this is part of the recreation, the seasons. But the moon plays a very important role, and it's also a place for observation.
What happens when it's a new moon and there is no light?
It's simply there's no reflection. There's no reflection from the sun coming through. The magnetism from the moon is still just as strong, but there's no reflection from the moon. So that it's part of the growing cycles. What it did was it gave the peoples a local internal timepiece. And so the early calendars were based in the early societies on the moon.
And can you tell me more about the moon as an observation base?
It means that it's a place where ships coming in down into these densities, stepping down, could come and approach the Earth without being detected, come and go quite happily without being detected.
Is that important to be able to come and go without being detected?
There's a non-interference policy. The Earth humans are meant to develop without this knowledge of these other societies watching them, like they're in a fishbowl.
Okay, thank you.
It's a very, very complicated story because there are many, many, many outside societies observing this experiment from different areas. But there's a quarantine around this area.
Why is that?
Because this is considered to be a very important experiment. There are people trying to interfere with it, but those of us who set up the original libraries in Alexandria, we could see that interference was sometimes very beneficial because it created layers of contrast during which the humans could then develop much more rapidly and much more firmly using their own free will choices. They could choose peace over war. It's one thing to experience peace. It's another thing to know that you've chosen that experience because you know what you've chosen not to experience. It's a very beautiful, massive, complex experiment. And there are many, many civilizations in the universe watching this experiment.
Is there any particular one that would like to connect now?
The Pleiadians were overjoyed at the experiment.
Why is that?
Because we've chosen peace. We've chosen the light. And we've chosen this against all odds. There were many times when many civilizations wanted to end the experiment, saying it'll never work, it's a waste. But the engineers were very, very keen that it be allowed to continue.
And how did we choose peace? It doesn't look like that right now.
How what?
How did we choose the peace? It doesn't really look like that right now.
We can see that it is the peace, that the peace has been chosen.
Okay.
Because enough souls are choosing to resist the wars to resist the fear. They're choosing to live in peace so that there will be enough souls. In your religions, you have the 144,000. That's a basic mathematic unit. If you wish to look at your universe in terms of mathematics, that's a fundamental unit. And if there are enough of those souls who choose to carry on the experiment, then the experiment continues.
Can you tell me about the 144,000?
It's a number that fits into your mathematical equations as the basic unit of time. It's a basic vibrational unit. And if there are enough souls that are vibrating with that specific basic unit and form that unit, and we see that there are more than enough right now who are vibrating to a high enough vibration within the human collective that have chosen peace, that can never harm another being, that will only assist another being, and that will shine their light no matter what. They will fear nothing, and they will love everything. There are enough within the human collective that experiment will be allowed to continue.
Does it mean there have to be 144,000 people like that, or how does the number relate to the people?
That number exists. And so it means that the experiment continues.
Okay.
There's more than enough.
What would happen otherwise?
Otherwise, the experiment is cancelled. But we can see that that's not the case.
Okay. Is there anything else that is important to know about Atlantis before moving on?
Atlantis was a great lesson. It's a great lesson for this time. It's the previous time, the previous cycle, solar cycle. The one that's coming now, we feel, will be more successful even than Atlantis, because there's more than the 144,000.
What do you mean?
With Atlantis, it was much more challenging to find populations that were suitable to go underground, and the experiment nearly ended. But this time, perhaps because many of the souls who are incarnated in Atlantis are being given another chance, or are taking another chance. They've chosen to come back and do it differently this time. And they're allowing themselves to remember those lifetimes and remember the choices they've made. They're going through these remembrance journeys and seeing their lives and seeing how that experiment nearly failed, and how the planet was nearly completely destroyed and lifeless. But there were enough human souls that chose to carry on and to avail themselves of the teachings from the libraries, from us, the teachers, that they carried on. These are the teachers who come through in the time of Yeshua and are walking around the world. Across many generations, there are always teachers who are holding this wisdom from Atlantis, because the wisdom goes back much earlier than Atlantis. It's very ancient teachings. There are many near extinction events on the earth.
The keepers of ancient wisdom and the teachers, they are the same?
The teachers, yes, yeah, the teachers.
Tell me more about the teachers, and is there anything important to know about what they did in the time of Yeshua?
Yes, they brought the information through. Some of it in crystal form. They brought it through to the Essene communities who were willing to receive it and to work with it and to keep it hidden from the local religious bodies, the bodies that were teaching fear and separation. Because they knew that in their hands, power is power, energy is energy. There's no good or bad energy. It's simply how you use it. And so they were very happy to have this energy in the hands of those who were using it to help awaken the population to who they truly are. The same way this energy is now being spread among the world's population in your time now, for exactly the same reason, to teach people who they are and to allow them to rise in their vibration, in their strength, in their health, and in their connection through to Source. Once they do that, then they help the experiment continue, and the next stage of the experiment can take place. The new humans, the next stage, and this gives great joy. Great joy, because the humans are almost ready to move into the next phase of development. And that is when they are allowed to leave this quarantine, because they're not going to be harmful to other species. They won't bring their anger and their fear and their warlike conquering tendencies with them. They will bring tendencies of curiosity and love and hope and understanding and the eagerness to learn and the willingness to share their own histories. This is what makes great galactic societies. Recognizing each one's sovereignty.
Is there anything else that is important to know about the teachers, the keepers of the ancient wisdom?
They are among you. We are among you. We walk among you. We are with you. We are with you in every generation. Your great teachers, your great sages, your Nikola Teslas. We walk among you.
Is there anything important to know about them, about the teachers?
That the teachers have great wisdom. And the wisdom, the fundamental wisdom is that we are all one. That we are all light. That we are all love. And we are all.
Thank you. And is there anything else important to know about the pyramids in Egypt and the library? Is it still there?
They're in ruins. They can be accessed. There are still chambers under the pyramids, chambers under Alexandria, that can be accessed. There have been many attempts to destroy them, to keep humans as slaves, but there are still chambers, there are still crystals that can be accessed.
Is there any way to access this information if you're not physically present there?
You can access it energetically through your light body. Your consciousness can enter there.
Yes. Is that safe to access?
It is safe for those who are well grounded in their own light and who have very specific questions and who are trained in reading what you call the Akashic records. If you're trained and grounded and able to maintain your own integrity without being swamped by the masses of information, and you can search for specific bits of information and not be buried under the sheer weight of knowledge. With the right training, people can go in there with their consciousness. You don't need to go in physically. Going in physically would be overwhelming for many people.
Who would do such a training? Where would you find such a training?
It's a training of focus. A training of focus. There are people in your world now who read Akashic records, and they do so by being able to focus on specific issues and specific vibrations.
Is there a connection between Akashic records and the library under the pyramids?
The library under the pyramids is a part of the overall Akashic records.
Okay.
A very powerful energy filled my heart, and it made me feel like crying. It was filled with such emotional joy to express how they feel about the success of the human experiment, which they're very deeply involved in, and they've had to argue for so long, because it's an experiment that they really love. It's probably their greatest experiment. The engineers that are working on us, that worked on us, that are not allowed to really interfere very much, but they're protecting the surroundings around us. It's like we're in a laboratory situation. And what they're looking forward to is the experiment reaching the point where humans are allowed out of the laboratory, out of the quarantine and into the cosmos. And the humans have to reach the point where they are pure of heart, where they will not be a danger to any other species, where they will not try to conquer, where they will not bring their war and their fear and their greed with them and their control. And there are enough humans now that it shows that the experiment will succeed in that timeline. And there's great joy throughout the universe, throughout certainly our part of the cosmos, that there will be this new participant in the galactic meetings, a new, completely new, very different participant. And so everyone is very excited. We'll bring our own histories with us, because we've led such dense, incredible histories on this planet. And we're looking for spokesmen, for historians, for teachers among the human population, who can then take these stories and travel the galaxies, because everyone loves a good story.
Who am I speaking with right now?
Oh, that's a good question. It's Sandy's higher self.
Okay, thank you, higher self. Please go on.
We're feeling very, very pleased, very happy.
Because
Because not only has the species graduated, but Sandy himself in this lifetime, and therefore across in many of his other lifetimes, is graduating.
how so?
In that sense, is losing fear. Losing any kind of fear, doubt, anger, jealousy, and just becoming a much more balanced, positive person. And this is happening very rapidly. And so as that individual there, that expression that is talking right now, is moving in this vibration, this affects every other aspect of that self up to us, the higher self. And as that affects and brings together the higher self into that vibration, it means that the vibration goes higher as well, and higher and higher. And so there's a ripple effect. Every time any expression of divine reaches that vibration and rejoins the higher vibration, there's a celebration, it's a rejoicing. And many, many individual expressions in your world are rediscovering this vibration. And as they do so, they go across and they affect a lot of their other expressions. And they affect their higher selves. And there's a reverberation. And so the earth is reverberating now with this new species, with these new people, who then form the next generation, the next part of this experiment. So there is great rejoicing. As the expression itself, the human body, changes, as the heart and the mind come together, that moves across into all the other expressions that are closely related to it. It has this vibrational ripple effect, like sound waves, like water, like light waves. This ripple effect then moves across into whatever it touches. And it has the power to change whatever it touches. And so this is a wonderful moment.
Thank you. And this is the first time that the higher self is speaking to me. I usually speak with the Divine Collective. What is the change?
The higher self has changed. The higher self is balancing.
Wonderful.
Before the tea time sessions with Doria, the higher self was a mischievous mix of self and service to self and service to others. But the higher self is graduating.
Thank you for clarifying higher self. Higher self, is there any reason why there was such a strong Pleiadian presence today? Do they have a message for Sandy?
Thank you.
Are they connected in any way to Sandy?
Yes.
What is the connection, higher
There's a very
self?
close connection.
What is that?
Sandy's very closely connected in many, many expressions to the engineers who are part of this experiment.
Just the Pleiadians or others as well?
The Pleiadians, Arcturians. This was it's the Arctur, the Arcta, the Arcturs that is his expression in Atlantis.
The one we saw
And
earlier.
that's the connection with the Arcturian system.
Mm.
The Syrian system he's connected to as well. He has a very deep connection to all of these DNAs that he works with on the Earth.
His expression as the priest in the Brotherhood of the Light today was that Arcturian, just to confirm. Is that what you are saying? It was an Arcturian?
They are Arcturian, yes.
The Arcturians connected with me as well before the session.
With Doria.
Yes.
Doria has very strong connections, yes, with the Arcturians. They're laughing.
Why did they connect earlier? Can I find out through Sandy's higher self?
To remind you of your connection.
What is that?
Of your connection to the stories that are coming through, your Atlantean connection, your connection to the teachers. You are a teacher. your connection to the Essene community, your connection to the teachings. You are an Arcta from Atlantis. And you don't have to, but if you choose to remember this and to meditate on this, you will find great wisdom pouring in. Wisdom that you feel reluctant to access, but is in you, it's innate within you, it's in your DNA. You know a lot of what you're hearing now coming through Sandy's lips, and you know it to be absolutely accurate because you're a part of it. It makes sense to you. You've heard it all before.
Is that also valid for Sandy? Can Sandy and I both connect in that way? Is that helpful for us?
Yes.
Could you give us advice?
You connect with the vibration of that system, and you have that vibration of that system within you. You connect when it's convenient and required, necessary, when it's beneficial for you to connect to these higher systems of thinking. Then information comes through. But both you and Sandy are so deeply embedded in the human experiment that we're really excited. Everyone is excited to see that you're bringing something new to the table. So when you're connecting back to your original sources, in a sense, this is like you calling your parents. But at the same time, you are new. You're leaving the nest. You are growing up. You're growing into a whole new species. You can refer back to your parents for guidance, for information out of nostalgia, knowing that you have a home, you have these places that you call home, you can retreat to and bask in familiar vibrations, but you are out on the leading edge of creation. You are part of a new project. Sandy is becoming he's expressing our emotions.
It's okay, I understand.
As proud parents. Because we are very, very proud of you for what you are doing here, for what you have chosen to do here. We could not make you do this. The same way Earth parents cannot make their children do anything. Their children go out on their own and find their way in the universe. And this is what you are doing individually, and many within your species, your new species, are creating something entirely new in the universe. And for that, we are grateful.
Thank you, and we are grateful for your help as well here. And why was it important for Sandy and myself to find out this information today, to connect with the teachers, to connect with this information?
To see how important you are, to see how successful it all is, and to know that there is nothing to fear. Every 12,000 years, the planet undergoes this change. Every 12,000 years, there's a reckoning. There's an evaluation. And every 12,000 years, some survive more than others. The worst event was 10 series ago, 120,000 years ago, when the experiment really was almost cancelled. There were very, very few beings left. And the rebuilding had to come from inner earth and from outside. And then this last one, the Atlantean one, was immensely destructive and very, very dark. The darkest of all experiences. And this is why it was a very special case, and why there had to be interference in the form of the moon. And in terms of bringing a comet in to actually make sure that the central city, where all the corruption was completely wiped out. There is so much history. There is so much to learn. But there's so much new history to be made, and that is the new horizon that you bring with you. The new species that you are forming, you're creating. That the next generation will be able to move out beyond the galaxy and tell new stories and have new experiences and create new expansion into the galaxy. The human experiment is the cutting edge of the future.
Why is that?
It's something entirely new, something that's never been experienced. All of these species have come together to donate bits of DNA, snippets of themselves, snippets of their own histories. And now we will watch a whole new history. We love stories. And we love success stories. We love happy endings. But this is more than a happy ending, it's a happy beginning. It's a great moment. And we are very grateful to all who are a part of it, to all who can shed their fears, even while still in the vibration of a human expression, completely shed their fears.
For those who will be reading or listening to this content and they might feel fear that a pole shift is coming, what is the most important thing that you would want them to know?
That it never ends, it can't end. We see the great success of this experiment.
And
that humanity rises again. We've been through so many pole shifts on this planet. The engineers have watched again and again and again. And this time we feel confident that we've reached the next major hurdle, the next major step up in this experiment. And so this is a time for rejoicing and not a time for fear.
Who are the engineers other than Pleiadians, Arcturians?
Turians, the Lyrans were here early on. Who else is here?
The Lyrans were here earlier on?
Yes, the Lyrans, the cat people.
They were here in the conversation.
The Avians. No, they're here in Earth history. They're very
okay.
much a part of Earth history.
Okay.
The Lyrans communicate often with Sandy. He's not aware of it, but the bird people, he has seen them. He's always been very close to birds. He reads bird omens. He picks up bird feathers. He's very, very closely attached to the Lyrans. There's a strong element of Lyrans within him. A Syrian-Egyptian connection.
Okay.
There's the great Orion connection as well, as he goes through. There's the great Rigel connection that he feels.
Can the higher self show Sandy if we were connected in Lyra?
You're connected in many, many, many areas. This is why it's so easy for your higher selves to connect. You're together in so many expressions that these expressions merge together and help each other and remind each other of who you are. Sandy's only come to New York in order to reacquaint himself with you and to remember who he truly is and all of his power, his connection, his DNA.
What connection? What DNA?
Through to so many star systems.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
And the fact that this DNA then spliced together in labs, in other systems, but also the final product put together on this planet, in the caves of this planet. And then the different journeys of this human experiment and watching it develop, watching humans as they choose free will over slavery. It's a great, great moment. Sandy's connections go very deep. There's so many different splices of DNA that once one becomes aware of them in the body, you can see that these all connect you through. Sandy's seeing this image now. We're showing him an image of a puppet like your Pinocchio, being moved by all these different strings, and it's all these different strings of DNA that have gone into the human experiment and are part of what's happening. You're not being pulled or guided so much as being encouraged. There's energetic connections through to all these systems, through the vibrations within your DNA. So you are connected to many, many star systems, but you are unique in the fact that you are a combination of all these star systems. You have this wonderful multiracial experience within humanity on your planet, and this multiracial experience, in a sense, is a mirror of your multi-dimensional DNA experience of all the different vibrations that have been brought through and the different experiences, bodies of experience from all of these star systems. The Halcyon system is the system that Sandy connects with the closest. There are so many planets around the Halcyon system that Sandy connects with, because he has a very strong merger there, and a merger there with others that he knows in this lifetime.
Who am I speaking with now?
You're still speaking with the higher self.
Ah, thank you.
The Divine Collective really deals in love and light.
Higher
The
self.
higher self is more grounded into these lower vibrations and into these
Yes.
local histories and vibrations.
Wonderful, because I have a question just for you, higher self. In the DNA, as you were showing Sandy how he has all the pieces of all the stars, because of the genetic manipulation that's been happening on Earth, is there anything in the DNA that needs to be cleaned or removed in order for the veil to lift, for the humans to get rid of the fear? Is that related in any way with the DNA?
That's a fascinating idea. You can't remove any of the DNA. What you can do is look into its vibration and know that all of the DNA that goes into creating this species and these different versions of this species starts off as a high vibration and brings with it the very best of all of these civilizations. The only time it can be corrupted is when it's interfered with and blocked.
Is that happening right now on Earth?
It is happening. It is being blocked. It's being blocked vibrationally.
How? What is blocking?
It's being blocked with these messenger RNAs. It's being blocked with radio transmitters that are being put in the bodies to create a different vibration. Artificial intelligence, this idea of Neuralink is meant to override the success of the human experiment. The messenger RNA is trying to change the DNA in the human beings, and the implants are trying to create a vibration within the human beings that doesn't allow it to have its own free will.
What kind of implants?
The graphene oxide implants that are in humans.
Can you explain what those are?
They're thin metal sheets that pick up radio frequencies and that assemble within the human being. And these radio frequencies then have to be blocked. They have to be changed because it makes certain humans susceptible to these radio frequencies. These are done with metallic plates, tiny metallic plates.
Does everybody have them, these little sheets, in their body?
No,
Does Sandy have them?
no,
He doesn't have any.
no. It's people who receive injections.
Okay, so I have them.
Yes, but you can overcome them.
Yes, how can I?
You
I'm
can
not worried, but
You can overcome them by getting rid of doing a base metal detox,
oh, okay.
and by not allowing yourself to be guided by negative thoughts and by electromagnetic frequencies.
So they're not in themselves hurtful unless we let ourselves be impacted by
You
them.
yeah. It makes people more susceptible.
Okay. Is there any kind of healing that we can perform, any sort of technology or healing that we can perform here that upgrades or clears the DNA or frees the DNA from all these influences? Any sort of energy work?
There is a microwave healing that I see
How can we
for
do that?
people who have received these receivers and transmitters, and that is to change what they're receiving, to make sure that what they receive is beneficial to the organism and not detrimental to the organism, and doesn't interfere with the human's free will.
Thank you. I'll change the topic because we'll have to finish in a little bit. Higher self, what is the most important information that we need to understand from everything that's come through today? It's been a lot.
That the light has won and the human experiment is a success. That human beings who are listening to this or reading this must know that they are infinite in their powers, and that there's a whole universe waiting for them to join them, to come out and experience a whole new universe. It's not simply a new Earth, but the new Earth, the next version of Earth, is the home of the next version of humanity. And that next version of humanity then learns to vibrate on such a high level that it's allowed to leave the planet. and
Oh.
allowed to travel and allowed to intermingle with all of the other galactic forces.
What would you call this version of Earth, if not the new Earth?
How would we call that Earth?
Yes.
Eden.
Eden.
The Garden of Eden.
Just like the store.
We're going back again. Only this time we get it right.
The Garden of Eden.
Humans are a divine creation, like all entities, like all civilizations. It's a divine creation at the cutting edge of creation. And that's the thing to remember. That's why there's so much excitement and so much anticipation, because we're going to see new stories that no one has ever seen. And that is really exciting.
And how are these stories different than a Pleiadian or an Arcturian or a Lyran story?
They're human. They're completely different. They're filled with emotion and wonder. Truly, truly wonderful emotional beings who can get to the deepest, to the fundamental vibrational core of experience and share this with the universe. We've been following you for so long. We follow your progress for so long. We love it. We're all speaking through the higher self, through Sean Sandy's higher self. And he's happily, he feels all of these chords coming into him from all of these systems. And he's happy to be of service. We use him now as an antenna.
And who is we right now? All the antennas. Who is we?
All of the antennae. We are all the civilizations that are connecting through. There are countless civilizations watching Earth history.
Thank you. So
it's like a new series on your television.
Wonderful. So, and thank you so much for connecting today. So it looks like in all timelines the pole shift will happen, or is there any other timeline where it will not be necessary?
We see it as part of human development.
Is there any timeline where it won't happen?
We don't see that timeline.
Okay, thank you. And from your perspective, when do you see the pole shift in Earth years, more or less?
We see it soon. We see the waves coming from the galactic center.
How soon? What does soon mean?
We still see the number 2036.
And what is possible to do here on Earth before 2036?
Rejoice. Rejoice in the knowledge that all you have to do is love. All you have to do is be in love with each other, with nature, with all the species on the planet. It's very simple. Clear yourselves of any fear, any anger, any jealousy, any outside control. Never give your power away to anyone else. Accept the power within you and know that you are incredibly powerful beings. Each of you is a spark of the overall divine source. And so each of you is immortal. And each of you is creation itself, creating something new every instant. Be happy. Be very, very happy in the knowledge that all you have to do is smile and be kind, be generous, be helpful, be honest, and know that you are perfect light and love.
And what about rent money and retirement and savings accounts? What about all the 3D stuff, higher self?
Have faith. Know that it all sorts itself out once you have faith. It's part of your learning curve. It's part of your development. Part of what you call evolution. To reach that stage of knowing that everything happens for the right, for the good, for the best possible outcome, the deepest possible lesson. And look at everything through the eyes of humor. When you find yourself in a stressful situation, have a good laugh and say, what am I doing here? Why have I put myself here? What is the lesson to be learned?
Is the higher self still connected, channeling all the nations, everyone else?
We're all connected.
Do you have a name? The collective of all the star people that are plugging into...
It's a galactic federation.
It's called the Galactic Federation. Okay. Thank you so much for connecting with us today. And so, higher self, there's no old Earth and new Earth then. Is there an old Earth and new Earth?
It's all Earth. From our perspective, it's all Earth.
Tell me more about old Earth and new Earth from your perspective. Tell me one more time.
The old and the new Earth are vibrations. It's all one Earth, but it's Earth at different vibrations. Like an onion. Visualize your onion. Where you go, or an atom. You go in and out, and it's all the same thing, but it's at different layers of vibration. They only separate from each other in the sense of there being at different vibrations. And so humans are moving into the higher vibration of Earth.
So everybody who is moving to the quote-unquote new Earth, they're the ones that will go through the cataclysm, and they're the ones that will emerge. Their successors will emerge as Homo Galacticus, and then the other ones can remain in a version of Earth that doesn't have the cataclysm, and it keeps the fear. Do you see two versions like that, or do you see just one moving forward?
We don't understand the question. We see everything in vibrational terms.
Yes. There's only one major timeline then of Earth moving forward, going to through a cataclysm to purge and emerging as Homo Galacticus. There isn't...
That is a powerful timeline, yes.
And the other timelines, we don't have to be concerned. The timelines of war, the timelines of a version that gets destroyed by the Dominion.
Those are lower vibrational timelines. They exist at a lower vibration.
Will they happen as well?
Yes, whoever chooses to stay in those will suffer those. But the experiment that we're guiding, this is the Galactic Federation again, the experiment that we're guiding is guiding these people who've chosen to take on this expression and move into the higher vibration. They're moving through all these stages of history, and they will have the stories to tell. They will have the greatest stories to tell. as they go higher and higher in these higher versions of Earth, because they're bringing the stories from the lowest versions of Earth. There are those who will choose to stay on the lowest versions of Earth, and they will suffer incredible extinction events. They do in past at lower vibrations.
So will at some point be at least 2 physical Earths?
There is no physical Earth. There's vibrational Earth. There's the perception of physical Earth through the eyes and the ears and the fingers of those who are within those perceptions of the Earth. But the perception of physicality changes with your vibration.
Let me ask a different question. You are seeing from your perspective a strong data point around what we perceive here as 2036, the year 2036.
Yes.
Is there a last call for humans to hop on the new vibration Earth? Is there a point in time when it will be the last call when they can hop on the new vibration Earth, so that they don't remain in the lower vibration? Is there a time?
From the point of view of the divine collective, you can hop on now.
Yes, and is there a last call? Is the last call when the cataclysm happens, or is it before?
The last call for the human experiment is the cataclysm.
So that's a last chance.
That's the last chance for the purification.
So at the cataclysm, so everybody makes it to the cataclysm, and then that's the splitting
Not
point.
everybody, many people are leaving now.
Well, yes, but I mean, the lower vibration and the higher vibration, we all go together till that point, and when the cataclysm happens, those who are lower vibration.
When the cataclysm happens, most of those who are lower vibration have already chosen to remain in the lower vibration.
So what happens to them when the cataclysm happens?
They remain for that experience.
Where do they remain if the physical body dies?
Their physical body dies, but then they reincarnate in a similar version of the human experiment, of that experiment that is going to be repeated elsewhere, is being repeated elsewhere from the higher perspective.
Okay.
And they have a chance, there's always a chance to move on.
But everybody has a chance up until that point,
Their
until
souls,
the cataclysm.
Yes, yeah.
Everybody has a chance to move
Yeah.
and shift to the new vibrational. What about the souls that don't incarnate, that don't go underground, and they do remain in a higher vibration, and what happens to them?
There is an availability of ships over the planet, and those souls can then move into light bodies.
And what about the rest that don't go underground and on the ships? What happens to those souls that are high vibration? Do they move? What happens to them?
They go wherever they choose. They can choose to leave the human experiment. They can go anywhere. They can return back to their home star systems. Many do.
Okay.
And they can go to systems elsewhere. They can go wherever they choose to go.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your patience in explaining. Here in 3D is a bit... Okay, beautiful. So we have 12 years.
3D is a perception.
I know, I understand. But when we write a book, we will have to try to explain these things to people who have to understand it in 3D thoughts.
Not to all people. I think you'll find that many people having the human experience now are well aware of the fact that 3D is an illusion for them.
But Sandhya and I are not here for those people, are we?
We're here for those who are eager to learn that. But we take comfort in speaking with those who see things the way we do.
Yes.
And we gain strength from working with them and from being with them. And we allow ourselves to recharge our batteries when we're with them.
Yes.
Our psychic battery, our
Yes.
soul batteries.
Thank you. Higher Self and Galactic Federation and the Pleiadians and Arcturians and everyone else who came through today, would like to thank you with so much love and gratitude for your support. And Higher Self, is there anything else for today?
We realize that in the density that you've chosen to express yourselves as teachers, guides, helpers, it may seem very, very complicated. But as you remove yourself and go higher and higher, it becomes a lot more exciting and very, very interesting, but a lot less complicated. Because you live many illusions where you are. And you have to allow yourselves to get beyond these illusions and know who you truly are deep within yourselves. Remember who you are, where you come from, and what you're doing there. And don't become too immersed in the fears that you are there to help dissolve.
Thank you, Higher Self. Anything else for today?
We love you.
Thank you.
And we have great admiration for you for taking on this journey, for diving as deeply as you do into this density. Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the show.
Right.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.